Oh, look, we have Willow. Oh, this is exciting. Hello. Let me try to expand this screen a little bit. This isn't my expertise.
It's hard to unmute because I'm so far from the computer.
Chat, view, speaker. Speaker, hi. Hello, Willow. Do other people make that joke, or is it just me? So who do we have here?
I didn't catch it.
So Sation, I know who that is. Hello, Sation. Hello?
Hello.
Who else is it?
Yuli.
Yuli. Nice to meet you.
Yes, hi, I'm Colin.
What is your name?
Nice to meet you. Colin.
Oh, just a second.
Okay.
Can you make it so it comes out of, I think it's coming out of this. How do you make it a little louder? Here. Can you say it again?
Yeah, my name is Colin from last week.
Colin. Just a second.
Yeah.
We're working out having audio issues here. Keep on saying your name so that we can know it's working. Yes, I think it's working now.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Very good. Hi, Colin. Very good.
I'm James.
Hi, James. Welcome to Cedar, all of you. You know what Cedar is by any chance? Do you all know what it is? Have you told them what it is?
Willow organization for maple, willow, oak, and possibly another thing.
I haven't said what the acronym is, I don't think, but they know that it's the umbrella organization.
Okay, great.
Community.
Yeah, it's my favorite acronym of all of the acronyms because it came to me in one moment as I was looking at 2 cedar trees on a golf course that I was skiing on. And it means the community for the experience and development of awakening and responsibility. And each of those words has significance. Each of those words has meaning. But maybe we won't get into that now. You have to ask Sation. She's your resident expert on the topic. Why would I distinguish experience and development? It's an interesting question. I'll have to ask her. Right, Sation?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I'm going to go to a different view now. View gallery. And how many people are on? Do you know how many people are on?
There's 16 squares, and there's a
great.
bunch of them all in Willow.
Yeah, right. A bunch of folks in Willow. Good. Oh, we have, and somebody said it's nobly muted. That's fun. Noble mutedness. Noble mutation? Maybe? So let's see. We have Willow, and then we have Renee. And Renee, I'd love to talk to you more, but you've already spoken, so I'm gonna keep on going. Keller, you're next, but maybe you ran away or had something else to do, so we'll let you go do that for now. Lynn Benjamin? Is that the right name?
Yes.
Hi
Lynn
there.
And Bob Benjamin,
Hi there.
parents of Zev Benjamin.
I was wondering about that. Wow. I'm trying to find a way so I can look at you. Sorry, it's taking a moment. Wait, maybe if I do that. Yes, it worked. So you know Zev quite well. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that he would be embarrassed if we took this time to praise him?
I guess you'll have to ask our son that. We have long since stopped speaking for him.
Okay, well, I'll speak for him. I think he'll be fine. So Zev is really quite amazing. Zev is one of the residents at Oak in California. And let me ask you another question. You can speak for yourselves. Would you be uncomfortable if I praise Zev extensively?
Not at all.
Okay, good. So Zev is amazing, actually. So first of all, as you probably know, he's the head monk. So he's in charge of making everything run correctly. We call it operations. And that means, what? It's like upper management in a company, I suppose. You know, he manages people and he does a good job of it. And people like it, which is an incredible achievement. It's rare to have a manager who people like and where people consistently ask him to manage them more than he currently does. I mean, that doesn't happen very much in the world, and yet it happens in his case. He also, so that's good. Even better than that is his deep commitment to the training, to the purification and cultivation of his own mind. Every morning we say explicitly that that we will use this time to cultivate our own minds. And for most humans, that's not the ultimate goal. That's not the first priority. We have other priorities. Maybe I'll cultivate my mind when I get around to it, but first and foremost, I'd like to get those things or get rid of those things or change those people or whatever it is. Most people who come to me about mindfulness instruction do so on behalf of someone else. They say, my spouse really needs some mindfulness. Can you help them, please? Or my child really needs to work out anxiety. Can you help them, please? Of course, that's fine, but it's far more impressive to say, I would like to cultivate my mind and I need help with that. And Zev has a deeply cultivated mind and yet continues to strive for even further depth. And because of that, I'd suggest that his management, his leadership resonates so fully in the group. We can tell if a person is examining themselves first and foremost, is attempting to grow their own understanding, and then through that help others. And he's someone who demonstrates that. And beyond all of that, his integrity, his compassion, his kindness, his conscience, his resolute dedication to truth and service create the tone at Oak. And so I'm very grateful I say all this as a way of saying hello to you because you, of course, you must take a lot of responsibility for who he is now. So both congratulations and also thank you.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you and express our gratitude to you and your organization for helping our son in so many ways.
Has it been at all helpful to you? He says yes. He nodded. So that's good. We're doing our best. I'm trying. We actually had a wonderful conversation. We came over here together in the car and had a wonderful conversation, which will continue. It wasn't complete when we had to go our separate ways and take responsibilities for other things. But it's just wonderful to be able to spend time with him now. I feel that we connected quite deeply, quite quickly back at Maple, and that's continued. It's great. Can I let you in? And I'll let you into my world a little bit.
Sure.
Now we're getting into maybe stuff that's too intimate, but I think that we can handle it. So just a little bit of information about interviews. And of course, interviews happen any number of ways. Interviews are the essence, the magic of monastic training and the way that we do it. You know what an interview is, by any chance? Should I explain?
Please enlighten us.
So twice a day, for a few minutes each, I meet with the residents. So in about 45 minutes, I meet with about 10 residents. That's, as you can imagine, about 3 minutes a person because it takes a little bit of time for one person to leave and the next one to come. And that's that's unimaginably, inconceivably connected. I don't know of a better word than connected. Station, can you unmute? Do you have any other way to describe an interview?
No, but connected fits really well.
It's very connected. The teacher and the student who are engaged in that connection are close in a way that is not possible to describe. And it's not at all uncommon to think of that as the culmination of a lifetime of experience. So, as I say, this is somewhat maybe more intimate than we would usually engage in a Zoom call. But it's important to have that background to know that there are different ways that one might move through an interview. And at first, of course, people want to know about what meditation technique to use. And so I teach them 1 or 10 or 100 meditation techniques. They want to know about doctrine and views and such. And so I teach them doctrine and views. They want to know about how to deal with specific problems. And finally, things start to get exciting. They're really now using the tools that we've built up in order to solve actual issues in their minds that are arising even as we discuss them so that we can resolve them in real time. That's quite exciting. But eventually, things become so intimate and so quick that verbalization can't keep up. And then interviews become almost entirely silent. And even the words that are used aren't of what's communicated. The literal meaning of the words isn't 1% of the total information given and received. And when a person is totally committed to the practice with integrity and surrender, then this sort of connection can emerge that, as I say, is beyond comprehension, beyond conceiving. And obviously for a teacher, it's so exciting. It's so fun when people come in not self-conscious and not, of course, sometimes people are self-conscious, it's fine, it's no problem, but eventually they get through it and then they're not self-conscious and it's great. It's great, of course, that they're vulnerable enough and trusting enough and mature enough to demonstrate their self-consciousness as well. But it's also exciting in a different way when they've moved beyond it and can reveal the constantly changing fabric of their minds in a state of such clarity that it can be resolved as it arises beyond words. And it's very satisfying to be able to communicate with Zev in that way. And I can say with certainty that the kind of clarity that comes from that is of great benefit to the world. Anything that so that's all a long way to say thank you. You can summarize everything I just said as thank you. Glad to be connected with you. as well. Do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, one other thought, besides thanking you, I wanted to thank all the other participants who we've come to know from our participation, which we try to do any Saturday we're available. And so many of you have expressed so many kind thoughts and so much wisdom.
And Lynn?
Well, I just appreciate your taking the time to speak with us individually. And Zev has spoken so highly of you and has wanted us to participate with you. And this was an opportunity, and we haven't been able to because we have been involved in other things, other Saturdays when you've been here. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Well, very good. I think we'll keep going, but nice to sit with you for a little while. Let's see, who's next? Keller, we skipped you. Did you run away, or
I guess
was it
for
just
a
not the
moment.
right moment? What?
It was just for a moment.
Okay.
Hi.
Do you have anything you'd like to share, or not? Either way is fine.
You were right about everything, and what I was dealing with was not infinite at all. It felt like it, but you were absolutely right. It's very now encouraging and like gratifying that it's like, oh, that was something that happened and it felt unsurpassable, but I did. And at least to some extent, I'm not, like twitching on the floor anymore. So, thank you. And I guess I wanted to say, like, I almost like already knew like the things you explicitly told me. So those were of secondary value to simply like the fact that you were giving me like almost instantaneous direct attention, and having that I guess it goes back to last week when you talked about the monk who said, friendship, everything is friendship. And I got a little bit of everything. And that was the primary thing. It was, helpful in and of itself. It was helpful in, again, making me take responsibility. And it's like, now you have had help. All right. Like, you really need to deal with this now. Like, it's not just yours, it's somebody else's too. It was really, I guess I felt like I was being moved into a new way of being. I was still attached to old ways of being, old, addictions, and I still carry with me the major one of those is my addiction to thinking that you've described on the internet. And I think it'll be a long process to get rid of those, but I have dropped many of the other ones in response to that event. I couldn't justify continuing them.
Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah. And I guess I was, and I stated last week that I was, my greatest fear was, that I'll get to the bottom of things, I'll touch the fabric of reality, I'll commune with God, and it'll all still be meaningless then. But I guess last week I was dealing with another new fear that, wait, but what, like completely opposite, like what if it all does matter? Like what if everything I've done mattered? All the bad things that I've done, somewhat to other people, but primarily to myself. All of the, negative emotions and, again, addictions I've carried with me, that they were all resident in my body, and that all needed to be purified. And I'm sure the purification will continue, but I did a lot of it last week, and you helped me through that. And I thank you for that.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope we have this recorded, I suppose. And I hope that everyone hears everything that Keller just said, listens to it closely. And of all of he said many important things, but of all of the points he made, not most important, but the one that I'd advise you to listen to most carefully is when he said, I did it. Listen to it. Don't just, I said it just now. I think I quoted you directly. But the words aren't the important part. Listen to the tone of voice. Look at his face while he says it, because that we don't do what must be done causes us terrible insecurity. And then we live in that and by that insecurity, and gradually think that we cannot do what must be done, which says something not just about what we do, but it says something about what we are. And so we are stuck. And we can't move forward until we break through that, but we can't break through that because we can't move forward. And this path is the way out of that trap. And when you actually do the thing that has to be done that you're certain you can't do, then your original self-confidence is discovered again. And you see that you have covered it over and avoided it, but you couldn't change your true nature. So please take courage and do what must be done. And thank you to all of you for being here and taking that risk that Keller described. Thank you. So we might have to go through this quickly. It's already almost 2:30, but it's nice to connect with everyone. To just be aware that this is very good as a way to connect. And, well, I don't know. I have a talk to give that I don't have to give it all, you know? So however much time there is, that's how much time I'll talk for, which may not be much. Either way is fine. What you have to say may be more important than what I have to say. But the next person is, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, KGLO, what? Christine. Can you unmute?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I don't know why my email address is up there instead of my name. I have to figure that out later.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But
Hi.
first of all, I wanted to compliment those that speak, because your choice of words, Soryu, I just met you 3 weeks ago. I never knew you before. And your choice of words are so rich for me from my life of listening to people. And then Keller, I don't know how long you've been doing this. The way he described what he was doing and did and couldn't do, it just was so well said. So I'd like to just introduce myself, that no one told me, hey, why don't you try this because something else isn't working for you. I stumbled upon you by accident.
Oh, great.
I happened to be just shifting the responsibility of childcare between my grandson, my new grandson, Samuel David, and his other grandmother, which is Pam. And so I had to do it at 2 o'clock one day, and she said, "Oh, I have this meditation, but you know what? I can come. I can do it. I'm just gonna have it on mute, and I'll just listen while I'm taking care of Sam." And I had time to listen to about the first 10 minutes, and I honestly, it just felt so good. 10 minutes, and and that was about maybe 7 weeks ago. So, and I've been meditating for many, many years through Paramahansa Yogananda's
Oh, yes.
disciplines, and I'm very happy with my. I'm not a devotee, but I practice his way quite often.
Mm-hmm.
But your guided meditation for me was extremely like nothing I've ever experienced. So I don't know. I feel like joining the group, and as soon as Sam can start walking or something, going to school, maybe I'll actually become a devotee. Who knows?
Oh, great.
It's been
Very
that
good.
rich. It's been that rich for me, especially when you write the emails and you say that what you're doing, the goal is to help the world. And I'm not exactly sure how that's happening through the meditation and the positive and everything. And so
Yes.
I'm very drawn to
Yes.
join you all to
Yeah.
achieve that goal. And I thank all of you here because you all speak really well. I guess it's from the practice, but I learn a lot from every speaker. And of course, your speaking is excellent also. Thank you.
Yeah. Are your parents pinned? It seems that they're pinned on my screen anyway. So may I just for a moment comment on, I think it's pinned. Comment on the way that what we're doing is helping the world?
Yes, I'd love that.
And this will be the prelude to my talk, if I get to it at all, which I might not. So we have, I'll start with the punchline, okay? Which won't make sense because I haven't told the joke yet. But we have a place here in California called Oak, and we're a fun crew, even if we don't seem that way. It may seem like we sit around doing nothing and we're boring, but actually we're pretty fun. And one of the ways we have fun is that we come up with names for things, which is, believe it or not, fun. And one of the ways we make naming fun is that we set forth a great number of challenges for ourselves. Some of them some of the organizations haven't even followed through on it yet, such as Willow. Willow, can you unmute again and tell us, what does Willow stand for?
Do you want the, okay. Willow stands for Weirdos Intentionally Living Lives of Wisdom.
Yeah. So this name is fun. It's not yet formally approved by the Cedar leadership.
You said it's not bad.
It's not bad. That's true. So we come up with these names that have to be the name of a tree, because trees are great. And they have to, it has to have some meaning that is good. And Willow is moving in that direction, asymptotically, I suppose. So we at Oak have had some disagreements about what it stands for. What does OAK stand for? It's a tree name, so it works that way. But what does it mean? And so they're currently saying, there have been a few iterations, but they're currently saying it's the Organization for Awakened Kindness, which is great. That's a great name. I approve of that name, but I have a preferred name myself that I would like it to be named. But I can't formally approve my name because I'm the Cedar leadership. And I don't think my name is good. But I like it anyway. And my name for Oak, the way I understand the acronym, is overcoming the addiction to knowing. The earth is in a lot of trouble right now. Why? Put in simple terms, made absolutely crisp and stark, the reason for all of the major problems on the planet is human cognition. Human cognition is the most dangerous, most damaging phenomenon in the past 4 billion years of life on this planet. And as long as we continue to govern the planet through human cognition, the destruction of life, the exponentially increasing destruction of life is inevitable because human cognition is wrong. It's not just wrong meaning untrue, it's wrong meaning unethical. And when we meditate, we discover an awareness beyond human cognition. We thereby break our addiction to knowing. And in that way, we discover something immeasurable, something inconceivable, and we gradually, in community, learn to live by it. The good news is that is how we solve the problems of the world. The bad news is no one has ever managed to make that scale. No one has ever managed to make that grow as quickly as other phenomena, such as empire or LLCs or nation states. So, or the internet. So it's our job to gain a clear footing, to gain direct knowledge into the escape from knowledge. So in this case, knowledge, in the one case, this direct knowledge, as we call it, is beyond any kind of cognition. It's a direct insight. Knowledge, as I'm using it when I say overcome the addiction to knowledge, is more about human cognition. But because we've gained that clarity, we realize that the problem was never actually cognition. The problem wasn't exactly human thought. The problem was addiction, clinging, grasping, attachment to the views that arise out of the very limited human mind. Because we break that addiction, we can use those views, those ideas, those concepts, that cognition for the benefit of the world, and that's what we should do because it's very powerful. But what benefits the world isn't to be known through mere human reasoning. And that's hard for people to face. And so in facing it ourselves, we offer an escape to the world. And beyond that, we create a community that perhaps at some point will learn how to scale, will learn how to grow such that we can change the direction of human history from the destruction of life on Earth to the flourishing of life on Earth. Did that make any sense, Christine?
Well, as you describe it, it for me, it feels like an extreme cleansing, almost like going on a herbal fast. Or I used to go to a place in the desert where you drank liquids and cleaned your body out from the inside to be completely clean. Mm-hmm. This is what you're doing for the mind.
That's exactly right.
Attempting to do for the mind. And it feels like all my problems have to, in one way or the other, have something to do with addiction. And I'm going to just say one thing about that is in a journal from many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, I remember writing, my mother smokes and eats, my father drinks and sleeps. That's what I would go to when I would go visit them when I grew up, because they were old and they didn't have anything to do. And that's what their life was. And I just thought that is like 4 addictions. Mm-hmm. And so I was raised by that. And I guess my whole life I've been working toward releasing that. Mm-hmm. And if by releasing that I can help others, sounds like something I'd like to give the rest of my days to, if that's not too much, but that's what came to me.
That is not too much. That's just right. Good. Well, we'll continue. I don't know if we'll get to the talk today. We'll see. It depends on how, we've been through, 5 people? So we have a ways to go. But I do like to connect with everybody. How do I say the name Gergely? what is it? Gergely. Am I saying it correctly? Oh, I can't hear you if you're speaking. I don't know if you're speaking or not. Can you hear him? Maybe there's an issue.
Can you hear
with-
me now?
Yes, I can. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, you said my name right. It's Sergey. Nice to meet you.
I just wrote you, I just signed a note to you today. We're saying thank you. We're glad to be connected with you. Nice to see you. Do you have anything you'd like to share? Anything's fine or nothing?
I just wanted to say thank you to Keller because the words he shared last week and this week were very encouraging to me.
I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very glad to have been of service.
Great. Where are you calling in from, Gergely?
From San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Good. So, hi. He's that way, right? This way. So, hi.
Hi.
Richard D. Hi
Hello, hello,
there.
Soryu.
Hi. You have
Wonderful to
anything
be
for
here.
us or not? If not, it's fine. There's no pressure to talk. I just thought give you a
No,
chance.
it's-
Say hi.
It's been we're on the last hours of a retreat with Shinzen,
Oh, great.
and it's, as all retreats, it's transformational, and it's been wonderful to continue the work from doing the 2-week retreat with you in February,
Great.
and how great it was to have done that experience prior to the world going blastedly crazy.
It was nice timing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice timing. It was, yes, it's actually nice to, that you were there for that. You were with
Really-
us just before the insanity looked sane.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, great. Yeah. All right, very good. Sam?
Hello, Soryu.
Hi.
So I came to visit Oak roughly a month ago or so, and had to sit with you in the morning there in that lovely upstairs room.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, I was very happy to be welcomed
Yeah.
by you. I discovered Maple and through Daniel Thorson's podcast, as I'm sure a number of people
yeah.
do these days.
Yeah.
You know, what's present with me is I don't recall their first name, but you offered some words in memory of a friend who had been part of the community. I do remember the last name was Costello. And it was so moving hearing you speak about him, because the way that you spoke exemplified a quality of being in relationship. Like it was so clear, the care and the being in deep relationship that he was held in, and that was being brought. And I think it gave me a intimation of the kind of community that's being cultivated in and through Maple.
Yeah, just in case Sam wasn't clear, perhaps everyone understood this. It was a memorial service for someone who had passed away, and this was the anniversary of his death.
one thing I notice that comes up for me, which is so interesting, is also getting a taste of life, at least at Oak. And I assume life in the kind of communities you're cultivating. There is a part of me, I think, that is both yearning for and terrified of the implication of what it really means to come back into deep relationship.
Good. That means you have a sense of what it is. If you don't have both yearning and fear, then it's unlikely you're referring to the real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pain. There's clearly such wounding in the degree of alienation in contemporary life. And there is, I think, the terror of really reweaving oneself in a way that there's nowhere to hide. There's
exactly
to back out. Right.
That's exactly right. Yep. I'd say, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Please.
So it's important for us to know that there are two sides of this, and they're both based on what in Buddhism we call wrong view. Two sides of the desire to be alienated. One is that it's, so do you know Calvin and Hobbes? You like Calvin and Hobbes?
Of course.
Yes, so everyone should read, can we give homework from these? Okay, homework, optional homework, read Calvin and Hobbes. Everybody here, do it. Calvin and Hobbes, just you'll figure it out, look it up. It's not, they're two of the greatest philosophers, but neither of the famous, of the European ones. So where are they, where are they from? Do you know? Somewhere in the Midwest, I think. Where Calvin's growing up with Hobbes. And one of them is a boy and the other is a tiger. And they're very smart. And one of my favorites of all is that Calvin, the little boy, is squatting down and looking at ants on the ground. You know the one I'm talking about yet, Sam? He's looking at ants he's looking at ants on the ground, seeing these ants, and he's telling them, ants, do what you want. Each of you is a unique individual who has your own goals in life. Don't just follow along with the community. Go out, strike out, and be yourself. And then he's looking at them, and then he breaks the fourth wall, as I say. He looks at the reader, and he says, if they listen, it'll solve our ant problem. So I bring it up because the prominence of large corporations and empires in the world now, at this time, depends fundamentally on the prominence of individualism as a religion. The fact that the state is capable of controlling us, the fact that the market is capable of controlling us so fully, is that we have lost our closest connections to family and friends as the primary basis of our lives. There is a deep connection between the growth of the market and the state over the past however long you want to call it, years, decades, centuries, and the sense of the individual as the basic unit. As long as the individual is the basic unit, the individual is incapable of collaborating in a way that could disturb the status quo. And so one part of it, one part of the wrong view is simply that the structure, the status quo, not that anyone thought this up, but just because it's how it goes, the status quo has tended toward individualization of mind, so that in relationship with, in correlation with the growth of these large structures. And if we wish to do anything about that, we have to question individual choices as the basis of our lives. That's the first thing. The second wrong view is that you bring up no place to hide. And the danger, one of the reasons that community is so helpful is that it saves us from the horrifying danger of actually believing, and I'm so glad you say it out loud because a lot of people would say, no, I don't believe this, of actually believing that we are capable of hiding our own actions from ourselves. It turns out that we've become so sophisticated at avoiding self-knowledge, facing our own choices, our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own behaviors. We've become so good at denying the obvious truth that it's actually easier for someone else to see it than for us to see it. And if you live in community, you see that that's true. Other people can see us more clearly than we see ourselves in every way. Meaning other people can know if you're happy more accurately than you can. Other people can know if you're proud of yourself more accurately than you can. Other people can know if you're ashamed, if you're grateful, if you're true, more accurately than you can. Not always, of course. They're human. They have limited ability to discern, but still each of us has a limited ability to discern, even discerning ourselves. And so to be with other people means that there's no place to hide. That's a step forward into realizing what Jesus and the Buddha and other spiritual teachers have said, which is that nothing can be hidden. Nothing is hidden. Nothing. Nothing is hidden. It's all revealed. It all must be revealed. It all will be revealed. And if we can step into a social environment in which we can be seen, then we can take the much harder, that we yearn for more and are even more afraid of, step of seeing ourselves truly and being able to be revealed to ourselves, so that we can break free of the sense that what I do, that somehow you do it and then the consequences of it just vanish off into space, sort of like the trash that we throw away that just magically vanishes. It's amazing the way it does it. Well, it doesn't do that. It does not. So
What?
you know what I'm saying? You cannot, so you pollute, but it just, it doesn't exist suddenly. In the same way, you can't close your eyes to yourself and then the parts of yourself you don't want to see don't exist. They're still functioning. We come to the point when we can face that. And with that comes, in another way, but related to what Keller was saying about a deep self-confidence. Because if we are such bad people that we can't even see, that we would choose to not see ourselves, we would choose to do the work of deceiving ourselves about ourselves, hiding from ourselves. What does that say about us? It's just overwhelmingly depressing. And so we have to have a way to move through that overwhelm so that we can face ourselves, and community is a very helpful part of that. Especially a community that really loves you, that loves you and knows that you're messed up. Because we have our issues. We do. That's a fact. And they can show us how to love ourselves as we see ourselves more clearly. So I think we should keep going. Maybe no talk today. 32:50. But let's keep going. Who's next here? The order on my screen just changed, so I don't know who. Susanna?
Hi.
Hi.
So I am a friend of Zev's,
Yeah.
and I talked to him last week, and he said that I would have a chance to ask you a question.
Oh, yeah. I
and
guess you do. I
I'm
don't
not
want to
sure-
make him into a liar.
I'm not sure if it's how appropriate it is for this group, but maybe I'll just say a few things that I was thinking about, and you can say anything that you want in response. So I guess my question was something along the lines of how do I feel less bad, or like how do I actually want to keep existing? Because that seems hard.
Mm-hmm.
And right, so, and you were talking about awakened responsibility, and I guess this word responsibility made me afraid that you would say that the reason to exist is to serve others, to live in service. And I don't want to hear that, because I have like very strongly conflated the idea of serving with an idea of like an obligation to completely neglect my own needs. And it's very hard for me to imagine simultaneously truly valuing my own experience and doing something that other people would consider worthwhile.
Yeah, great. You know, who was it who's some famous philosopher, Whitehead or somebody, said, he said, we are here to serve others. What the others are for, I have no idea. Who was it? Does anyone know who said that? I don't know. But maybe Whitehead. I don't know. Anyway, so I won't tell you that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a great quote, but in the quote, he admits, I'm not sure if this makes sense. So let's see, a few things. One is, I was just talking with actually an AI researcher about this topic and telling him that, do you know anything about artificial intelligence, Susanna? Maybe not.
I mean, not deeply in a technical sense.
Yeah, so anyway, one of the things about AI is that you have to tell it what to do. You have to give it goals. That's just one of the things about AI. You have to tell it, this is the thing that we want. And they were asking about these objective functions, as they're called. And I was talking about the objective functions that sentient beings have according to Buddhism. Buddhism says that sentient beings are guided by craving, by what you might call objective functions. And there are basically three. One is sensual pleasure. We want sensual pleasure. We want to eat the potato chips and have people praise us and all of that. We want to exist. We want to survive. And the third is that we want to die. We want to not exist. We want to be destroyed. And enlightenment is freedom from these three forms of craving. Enlightenment means that there are pleasures, but we don't crave them. Enlightenment means that we may live for a while, but we don't fight for that. And it means that we die, but we don't promote that. We don't strive in any of those ways. There are other forms of service that we can provide that happen naturally without those aspects of craving. So I bring that up because it indicates how difficult it is. This is the fundamental step in Buddhism, and it indicates how hard it is to overcome these three kinds of craving, and including how do we want to continue to exist? How do we have the will to live? I bring it up to confirm the significance of the question, which I think we could all hear, but it's worth observing that with your question, with such a deep question, with such a personal question, you immediately have gotten to the heart of the entire Buddhist tradition and therefore my 20-some years of training. So of course this is an appropriate place for that. That's exactly what we want to discuss. And in fact, even while we're talking about other things, that's what we're talking about. We're just using those words to talk about it in a roundabout way. We're always looking at the end of craving, the end of addiction, the end of clinging, the end of attachment in these three ways. So the next thing I'd say is that being in relationship is very hard. We just talked about this and you bring up the issue again. Relationships are very powerful. The Buddha said that there are two things that are the basis of the path. One is on the inside, one is on the outside. Inside, it's heedfulness or careful attention. We pay close attention to what's happening and understand it deeply. On the outside, it's friendship. It's good relationship, healthy relationship. It's not easy to gain either one in life, but we strive for that. And we understand that when we do enter into relationship, there is often going to be disagreement or agreement. There's going to be judgment, either that people think we're bad or that they think we're good. I think it's important for us to gain the skill of being in relationship, receiving that feedback, and knowing that a true friend agrees with us sometimes, and a true friend disagrees with us sometimes. A person who never agrees with us probably isn't a friend. A person who never disagrees with us probably isn't a friend. So how do we maintain those conversations so that love is expressed through those agreements and disagreements about our choices and even judgments about our actions? This is important. And as I say, it's difficult. It's not easy, and it's getting harder. The way the world is changing, it's harder and harder to enter into clear, healthy, intimate relationship. That's just harder and harder, and it's harder and harder, I'm sorry to say it, by design. Facebook, for example, it's in its best case scenario if you want to be friends with many people in person, and that makes you follow them on Facebook, and you are actually friends with no one. Because if you were, then you would meet with them and then you wouldn't be on Facebook. Then they talk about friends. What they mean is, this is the thing that a friend is, and on Facebook, is that which is between you and a potential friend. The act of being a friend on Facebook is the means by which you do not have a friend, but you want one. Both are needed. You must be suffering or else the algorithm isn't doing its job. More and more as time passes, we find ourselves being jostled around by more and more people while simultaneously being more and more lonely. And this is a societal problem. Loneliness is a social issue. It is not an individual issue. We're lonely due to social issues, social problems. And one of the most pernicious of those is that is a society that would say you're lonely because of you. We made you lonely and it's your fault. That is, well, I'll be judgmental. As a friend to our society, that's evil. and it causes terrible harm. So you're welcome, society, for clarifying your behavior. So it's our job in these communities to change that and to be able to enter into deep relationship in which, yes, we can disagree and we can say, I'm so glad you're doing that good thing. And we receive it and say, actually, because I heard that in a loving way, I realize I also feel good about it. They say, I don't think you should be doing that thing. And you go, oh, I also feel ashamed of that. I think I'll change. That's a connection. Or they say, I don't think you should do that. And you say, but I actually feel good about it. And then that's the way the love is exchanged. Or I don't remember the last of the tetralemma. Last one is that you say, they say, good job. And you say, no, actually, I don't think that that's the right thing for me to do. And I'm going to change. They give you approval, and you through that approval realize that it wasn't actually your highest calling. So there's a safety in it, and there's the ability to disagree without using love as a threat, as a way to threaten someone with the removal of that approval. So that requires enormous practice, enormous perseverance, and that brings us to this. And I suggest that you do it, and you're doing it right now in this call, and you may do it in other ways, connecting with people as much as possible. I would recommend it. I think it's very important. Perhaps there are people on this call who could help with that, who could support you in that. Everyone needs support in that. Everyone should have more friends in real life than we have. It's a tragedy right now. It's a huge social issue that I touched on earlier, but I could say a lot more about it, but Zev is looking at his watch. So it's important to support each other in this. So there may be people on this call, maybe Zev, maybe someone else, who could give support. And how are you getting together with people? In what ways? And are we gradually, as a group, learning how to do this? It could be online, even better in person. And we learn how to make these connections in healthy ways. But that brings us finally back to the first point of how do we want to continue at all? And I'd suggest that in all likelihood for most of us, if we don't want to continue, what's actually happening is that we're being battered by both of those kinds of craving. I want to survive. I also want to die, but I want to live, but I want to die, but I want to live and I want to die. And incredibly, I would say that these two kinds of craving support each other. They support each other. We try to overcome the desire for death with the desire for life. But that's ineffective. Instead of that, let go of both desires. Don't want to live. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not that good. Don't want to die. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not that good. And instead of that, and I know that this is a tall order, but we're going to practice it because we're not letting go of the meditation, even if we lose the talk. Only experience this next moment that you didn't go out and get and that you didn't avoid. It comes to you and you receive it and then it's gone. And then the next one comes and you receive it and then it's gone. Don't try to live, don't try to die, just experience this moment completely. Part of experiencing it completely is letting it go completely. You could call its arising birth and its passing away death if you wanted. But if you stay with it in that time, you see that it isn't about that at all. So that's a very different approach. Don't want to live. I don't think you should. But don't want to die. Absolutely not. Just receive this experience right now. And at some point, that experience will be death. Receive that completely. Until then, receive this completely, this life experience. Receive that completely. And that's it. Does any of this make sense?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Sometimes it's very, very hard to be with the present experience, but I'll keep trying.
It's very hard to be with the present experience. Put in the simplest way, humans are basically almost everything that a human being does is actually avoiding this experience. People think that they're buying a car. They're not. They're avoiding how they feel. The car is a way of avoiding how they feel. That's all it is. People think that they're having a conversation. They're not. They're avoiding how they feel. People think that they're getting a job. They're not. They're avoiding how they feel. People think they're having a kid. They're not. They're avoiding how they feel. And then in order to do that, they have to have cars and jobs and kids. And because of that, we're in order to avoid how we feel, we are willing to destroy the entire world. So the greatest work, the greatest meaning is to have this experience, to be willing to have this experience. That's heroic immediately. Immediately, that's heroic. You're a hero immediately, but it gets better. And you're actually a hero. It's not just that people think you're a hero. People probably don't think you're a hero. You're still a hero, but it gets better than heroism, because if you can have this experience without resistance, then you see that the resistance to having this experience was the reason that it was so bad. This is what Keller realized. You can talk to him about it if you want. We see that the unwillingness to feel this way is what makes this feeling into suffering. We have a feeling and we're not willing to experience it. That's why it's suffering. It's not that it's suffering and that's why we're unwilling to experience it. And so the even better news is that you're a hero because you're doing the thing that humans aren't willing to do. Even better than that, you will resolve that suffering and you will be able to experience this fully. And at that moment, it will become wisdom rather than suffering. So I know it's hard. I know. I sat there for tens of thousands of hours just understanding what you said. I spent tens of thousands of hours understanding the sentence that you just said. And we may all need to do that. It's a very significant sentence, but there is a way out. So maybe Keller, Zev, you can do something to support one of our community members. Is it okay if we continue on, Susanna, or do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Great. Note, Susanna, I didn't ask you before I told them, so it's not your fault. I did it. Yeah. Okay. Next. Who's next? Is there a Rudy out there? I think that there was. I saw somebody named Rudy. Does anyone know who I'm talking about? You'd have to know the novels very well to know who I'm referring to. No? I think you know. His name was Rudy first, wasn't it? Okay, so then I guess it's Kathleen. On your screen, I saw the name Sparrowhawk earlier, but originally he was known as Rudy. So, hi there. Joshua, do you want to talk today since you didn't talk last time?
Hi, Soryu.
Hi.
We have a bobcat crossing our land this morning.
Wow.
And getting up to check on it because my dog is very interested in meeting the bobcat.
Yes.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is. Yes. Planet is full of amazing things.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll mute myself again. It is nice to hear you and see you.
Yeah, nice. I responded. You sent me a message. I responded, but we never got in touch. So maybe we'll get in touch soon.
Oh, I didn't see the response. Good. I'll look for it.
Yeah, great.
Good. It was a genuine ask.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I hope that there are no untoward meetings between canines and felines on your property today.
We hope so too.
Yeah.
It'll both be better if they just notice each other.
Yes. Yes. Sort of like meditation, right? Notice the feeling. You don't have to fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
Just notice it and let it cross, let it pass. Let it go. It's not, you don't have to get so involved.
I'll talk to her about that.
Yeah, talk to her about that. Very good.
It's her nature.
Very good. Ayush?
Yeah, hey, sorry.
Hi.
So, yeah, I don't think I have much more to add on top of like what's already been discussed, but like a lot of it's like really resonating with me.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I guess like one thing that's coming up is like I realized that my like subconscious like intention towards practice has been like a bit along the lines of that like isolated, like individualistic, like goal oriented, like I'm gonna do these things so I can have certain experiences which will like benefit me.
Yeah.
And now I'm like feeling like there's like a lot more to it than just that. And I'm really
Good.
like,
There is.
yeah, just like processing that right now.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, there is more to it than that. And I appreciate that you say that out loud. Great, thank you. Daryl, are you have anything to add to the conversation? Uh-oh. It's still muted. Yes, hi.
Hi, Soryu. So good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Really enjoyed last week. It was wonderful. The meditation was very special. Are we going to have time for a meditation again today?
We're going to have time for a meditation. There's no
Perfect.
talk. I don't think I'm going to be able to give a talk today.
That's wonderful.
But the meditation is going to happen, and this has been a good kind of talking itself. But thanks for pressuring me on that. I appreciate it. Maybe was that a question that was also a statement?
Yes.
Very good. Very skillfully done. Good, so we'll move into that very soon. We have just a few more people. Zev, you can't share. Sorry. Pam, do you have anything?
I'm really liking this a lot. I think this is quite an interesting way of giving a talk.
Yeah.
I do, because I feel really close to people. I'm glad to hear how Keller did, because I've been thinking of you all week. I was very moved. And I'd like to let you know what I'm sitting in. I for the first time in my life, I'm celebrating the Jewish holiday of Sukkot. And so first time I have ever created a structure, and it's coming together, and I'm sitting in it because of the spiritual reasons that it's a fragile structure like our bodies, and I'm being taken care of, and what we bring into the sukkah is of significance, and you guys are all in it. So I think that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you. And Arafat, are you there? I can see a picture of you. Do you have audio?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Soryu and the rest.
Hi.
It's
nice to see you.
like,
Are you?
yeah, sure,
Is that the window? That's outside, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. This is the window. Yeah, sure.
Yes. Very good.
I think it's late at night, so.
There it is.
Anyway, yeah.
The big city.
Anyway, it's such a great experience. I'm really, really very much glad to be part of this. I hope you get to excuse me on the darkness. It's kind of like, the light is a bit low. So, but this is really amazing. And actually, I do agree with what Pam has said, that you're literally having to connect with everyone. It's actually like the best way of giving a talk. So it's really amazing. yeah, it's cool. And actually, there are quite a number of things that you've talked about that I sort of like relate with. I've actually been taking notes. There's this particular one you referred to of a community, the aspect of individualism, are like people around us, like they sort of like have, they know us better more than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
And actually that is something that has happened to me a number of times. And some friends of mine are particular ones. At some point I even ask them like, hey, do you think, like, what do you think about me? As in, do you think that I'm sane or am I crazy?
Oh.
Right? Because
Wow,
like
smart.
to myself,
yeah,
I sort of like, I see myself doing a number of things that makes me more of an outlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it sort of like freaks me out at times.
Yeah.
But then I get to appreciate, maybe it's the fact that maybe the way I've grown up, maybe the way I've sort of like been exposed, something of that sort. So like, it's just kind of like weird. I just don't really kind of like, it freaks me out because like, I find myself, there's really a lot that I do, or there's really at least quite a lot that I know, right?
Yeah.
That some other people don't know about.
Yeah, right.
And like, it freaks me out. Like, am I crazy? So I have to turn to my friends and like, okay, ask them, okay, like, hey, do you think that I'm crazy? Am I sane? Like,
yeah.
So
Well,
something of that sort.
Yeah, one of the important things to do is to be sure that, so we want to allow others to help us, but we also want to be discerning about who we ask. So we wouldn't want to, as the Buddha said, a wise person can know who a foolish person is, but a foolish person cannot know who a wise person is. And so we have to use the wisdom in ourselves to determine who else is wise and who might be able to help us out and who might be able to give us guidance. So we step by step, a process of the wisdom in us being with a wise person. That wise person gives us more wisdom. And then at some point, if we do that well, then we may find somebody else who we ask. So there's a feedback between the inner heedfulness, the awareness, the wisdom within, and the friendships, the relationships on the outside. And we have to link those so that the wisdom chooses the right friendships for us, and those friendships give us more wisdom so that we can create even better relationships, so that we can gain even more wisdom. And that's the way that we walk on the path.
All right, perfect. And then something else, from the talk we had last time, anyway, I happened to watch your presentation. I'm pretty sure you did it early this year on our Can Meditation Save Our World. And it's really great of what you've said. I think at some point, that's why you've said that the moment that the world is governed using human cognition, there's like, the world will keep on being screwed up the way it's already screwed, right?
Yeah.
So we really have to break away. Let me see. We really have to break away from depending on human. We really have to surpass that.
Exactly.
Right? And yeah, I'll be really actually glad to. This is really amazing talk, and I'm actually looking forward to reviewing this talk to really get to have a deeper understanding of some of the insights that you gave earlier on. But anyway,
well, I will say though that that's what the meditation part of this is about, that Darrow was so helpfully pushing us toward.
Right.
We can listen to talks on it, which is good, but the main point of talking is the development of friendship. The exploration of going beyond cognition is done in meditation. And we want to have good friends so that we can meditate in a healthy way rather than just using it as an avoidance mechanism or something. But we basically study freedom from cognition through meditation. So what is the spiritual awareness that goes beyond conceptual awareness? That's something that we explore in meditation itself. And as I say, Darrell is, I think, pushing us in that direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. And yeah, then something else relating to the talk you gave on how meditation can save the world. Yeah, there is some kind of like key takeaways that I've shared with the email of Monastic Academy. But I would like to kind of comment.
Oh, did you send that on? Oh, that's great. I didn't get it. So thank
no,
you
it was
very
just
much.
about like it was about like, say, 5 minutes to the call. That's when I sent it.
Okay.
Today.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good. Yeah, I was
exactly,
looking
sure.
for it. We actually
It's
looked
okay.
for it. Yeah.
But I would like to, like, some of the issues that I would like to hint out are during that talk, you talked over artificial intelligence. It's also something that you've brought up during this call. And during your talk of whether how meditation can save the world, are the first two examples that you gave really like, I couldn't sort of like relate between those existential threats and meditation. But when you brought up the third example of our AI as an existential threat and how like our meditation can help solve, and then you gave an example of the Hollywood version of our AI, right?
Yeah.
And it's because our AI is really something that I have been so much engaged with for the past 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sure. There is a company that I was running, a startup that I was running, helped start it from my dorm room, and we built it out. But we were a company that was building artificial intelligence technologies, in particular computer vision.
Wow.
And yeah, our mission was to enable cameras to see and understand the surrounding environment, so as to generate useful information. And one of the products that we built was known as Brands Prime Eye. And all this information is included in the document, but I'm just giving some kind of like high-level overview. One of the products that we had was Prime Eye, and it was facial recognition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we built this facial recognition software from the ground up without relying on softwares from, say, Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, right? So we built it all internally without really relying on any other softwares from those tech giants. But then the key issue, one of the application areas was to fight terrorism, right? By finding ways on how we can identify terrorists. If, for example, they're walking on the streets.
Yeah.
So you then kind of like give this example of like our AI as an existential threat, right?
Yeah.
So you then said, how can we break away from that AI? Because it's controlling everything of our lives, right? And if we disagree with it, it's gonna make our lives hard. So it's gonna make us suffer. And to the worst, it's gonna kill us, right? So actually at that point, I paused the video. And what I did was that, okay, like I started contemplating, okay, how can we break free from this AI? And actually what came to my mind was like, well, maybe we'd literally just have to merge with the AI. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Elon Musk, the founder and current CEO of Tesla Motors. He's working on Neuralink, right? Yeah. He's working on another company known as Neuralink. And because of the threat posed by AI, he believes that we should find ways of how we can merge with AI. For example, like we have these chips put in our brains and to enable us expand our thinking capacity, memory, and stuff like that. So that was my first way of, that was my solution at that point.
Yeah,
but
it's
then
good.
Going deeper into the core, sorry. But then
well, the
going
only thing
deeper
is
into
we should get to the meditation. I think I'm actually gonna have to cut it off and not have Sanchin or Amy talk at all. Sorry,
It's okay.
Sanchin and Amy.
Sure. It's okay.
But I these are many very good ideas, which we should explore carefully. You could say that we've already merged with the AI. It's just that the artificial intelligence is using our minds and bodies. We merged with AI 4 billion years ago. And we merged with it even more recently as humans with our very complex shared views. So those are kinds of artificial intelligence. And to break free of it of course, we can go into it. That's a way to do it. We can go into our bodies and minds, but to break free of it does mean to let go of it. And letting go of it isn't, well, how shall we say? It turns out to be quite a project. And I think that that's what we should, well, that's the direction that I'm advising, that we no longer live according to the perceptions of body, mind, or any of these other mechanisms, even the brilliant one I think that you were making, that could see, that could, for example, do facial recognition. So that, I'd say, is the real challenge. How do we, what is it that you perceive when all perception is gone? What is that? What is the experience of the cessation of consciousness? What happens when you don't feel anything with your body, know anything with your mind, or perceive anything with your senses? What is
Darkness.
that?
Darkness.
What?
Darkness.
But you see darkness. Your eyes see darkness. So what happens if you don't see darkness or light? That's the challenge. Does that make sense, Arafat?
Yeah, sure, I get it.
And so that's what meditation is. That's what one of the things that you can use meditation for, and is the supreme application of meditation. How do you? So yes, you start off with seeing objects, and then you go to darkness. And then what happens if you set aside the darkness and you don't even see that? What is that? It's not dark. It's not light. It's not any kind of form. What is it? We enter meditation to explore that. You can hear sounds. You set them aside and you hear silence. That's good. But what if you set the silence aside? What do you hear if there are no sounds and no silence? This is the way that we explore. And when we explore in that way, we discover that the assumptions that we've made about the way things are were misguided at a level that matters, at an important, significant level. Doesn't mean we shouldn't merge with AI. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have minds and bodies, but we should be capable of dropping all perceptions, all feelings, all thoughts. What happens when we do that? That's the challenge of meditation. So Sanchin and Amy, I think we won't have a chance, sorry. I was really looking forward to talking to both of you, but it's 3:30 and I want to have at least a half an hour. So glad you're here. All right. This will be the last part at the end. I'll ring the bell and we'll bow and say goodbye. We won't have any further talking. And please, I hope that this group, this conversation, this meditation, this weekly gathering is of benefit to you and that we make it of benefit to all the world. Take a moment to do as we were just describing and merge with your body and mind. Let's explore this strategy that Arafat was proposing. Begin by paying attention to your body. Feel your body. And as we say, merge with your body. Merge with your body means that which resists feeling your body, the mind that wants to ignore your body by getting caught up in thoughts, the unwillingness to feel what we're feeling, that resistance dissolves. That blockage is relinquished. So feel your body, feel what's happening in your body without resistance. Completely be absorbed into your body so that you're aware of your body in your body. Be aware of your body in your body. Merge with your body by releasing the resistance to feeling your body. Feel it completely, and in that way, merge with it. Forget yourself by paying attention to your body. And if you find that you can't let go of the resistance, if you have a certain feeling and you're resisting feeling it, then pay attention to what it feels like to resist and allow yourself to feel that completely. Very good. Very good. And now bring that same attention to the world. You may or may not open your eyes. If you open your eyes, then do this with seeing and hearing. If you keep your eyes closed, then just do it with hearing. Whatever it is that you're hearing, or perhaps whatever it is that you're seeing, be willing to hear it. Be willing to see it. Set aside the resistance. And just keep on doing this. Each next thing that you see it completely without resistance. Each next thing you hear it completely without resistance. And continue on. We have now spent time feeling completely and without resistance. Spend time seeing and hearing the world completely and without resistance. And now let's practice seeing and hearing in our minds, which is to say, thinking completely and without resistance. Again, we will merge with our minds, as we said earlier. When you have a thought, completely experience that thought without resistance. Pay close attention to it, know it deeply, and then let it go. Pay attention to the next thought. In the same way that when you were listening earlier, you might have heard silence, but you could listen to that. As you're doing this, in your head, you might hear silence. You might hear silence within, an inner quiet. In that case, listen to that carefully, completely, without resistance. Or perhaps a voice comes up or a musical tune. Perhaps you see images in your mind or a blank screen, darkness, as was said earlier. As Arafat pointed out, you may see darkness. Whatever it is that you see it completely and without resistance. Whatever it is that you hear it completely and without resistance. But for now, just look and listen to your own mind. Experience your thoughts completely and without resistance. In this way, merge with them so that there's no one watching you do this from the outside, but everything is attending to these thoughts. Very good. Excellent. And now we will continue on to the final aspect of this technique. Now, whatever it is that you see or hear in the world, whatever it is that you feel in your body, whatever it is that you think in your mind, set that aside. It's as simple as that. If you look out and see a tree, that's a perception, and set it aside. If you then look at the floor, that's a perception. Set that aside. If you turn within and feel an emotion, that also is a perception. Set it aside. And of course, if you have a thought about anything at all, fine, that's a thought. Set it aside. That's the practice. Whatever perception arises, note it. Very good. Now you know that that is the perception of this moment, and then set it aside. Pay no attention, turn away from it. Do this as a way to turn away from everything, to set aside everything, all perception of any kind. Set it aside. As you do this, be sure to keep it practical, doable. That means that all you're doing is setting aside the perception that has arisen right now. Set it aside, turn away from it, remove your attention from it. Whatever it is, it's not about coming up with an idea of what it would be like to let go of everything and then trying to make that happen. On the contrary, if you have such an idea, set that aside. Whatever perception comes up, set it aside. As we do this, we may find that there's a sense of freedom. The sense of freedom that comes with setting aside the perceptions that we have clung to. We can even set that aside, and yet there's just more of it. You don't have to cling to the happiness of freedom. We can set that aside, and it's even more obvious. So what is this taste of freedom? Please explore this, and how. Not by getting an idea of that and trying to make it happen, but on the contrary, if such an idea arises, set it aside. Turn your attention away from it. If you see any other thought, turn your attention away from that. If you hear a sound, turn your attention away from that until you're just constantly turning your attention away from whatever perception arises and discovering unintentionally the happiness of freedom. Very good, and continue this for one more minute, and then we'll finish up. Simply turn your attention away from whatever perception arises, whether that's in your body, in your mind, or in the world. Continue to turn away from that. The freedom of not holding on to any of that is already joyful. Thank you all for being here and exploring these subtle topics. I appreciate that you are willing to give such a sophisticated, such an advanced meditation a try. And I hope that it does benefit you, and that as we live out that benefit, it benefits the world. So once again, it's good to be here with you, and please take good care and care for each other and care for all of us. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. So much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon over there.
Thank you. Have a good night, Arafat.
Thanks. I'm still awake for about, say, 2 hours.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very good.
I have to catch up with some work.
Very good.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you for the guidance. The meditation guidance was very, very, very helpful and it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. We appreciated the session and seeing everyone.
Nice to see you too.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Amy. Nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And thank you for the guided meditation. It's very, very nice. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I got some ego reduction on that, if not some moments of ego death, and I cherish those. And like at the end, it's like I've never done that before, and it was like bouncing, like I'm like a pinball between like turn away from that and then just something else, and then turn away from that and just bouncing all around. And it's like, what's that thing that remains? It's I don't know. There's no words, but thank you.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.